Hi, everyone. Let's just see if I get this started here. Okay, record. Hi, everyone. Welcome to the GoldFish Report. I'm your host, Louisa. It's Friday, Good Friday, that is, uh, April 10th, 2020, or as we have all been anticipating, 4/10/20. It's a special day for a lot of reasons. Um, it's DJT Day. That's what it is. Initials for Donald J. Trump. Happy DJT Day as well. So we have a lot to cover today. Zoom into Project Camelot, Carrie Pink. Yes, Trump, love you. Yeah. So, hi, everybody. I'm going to just real quick say hello to people who are entering the live chat. We have a lot to talk about, so I'm not going to spend a lot of time in the chat room because there's a lot to talk about. So, let's get started. We're going to start with the 6th. I'm going to go through the posts from the 6th. That was Monday. I think I talked a little bit about the president because I did a political theater report on Monday with um, Professor Jim Fetzer. So, but we'll take a look at what's going on. As you know, Monday is the political theater report that we do. This is a military operation, according to the president at his press conference. So you can go to the blog and take a look at this report with myself and Jim, highlighting many issues that we are dealing with, including Fauci, fake Fauci, Bill Gates, and his COVID-19. It's so obvious. Everybody knows about this. This is crazy. They were friends. They're in cahoots with their depopulation agenda, or I mean, or the vaccination agenda, I should say. Okay, so we can clearly see that. Let's go to what else was going on. That was all I published on the 6th. Well, that's interesting. Okay, I'll go and say hi to everybody. Hi, everybody. How are you? Yeah, I see everybody. Yeah, I'll comment on Austin Steinbart in a little while. I just wanted to, talk about the president, and there's a lot for us to talk about this week. Austin is obviously let out. He was released. I don't know, what happened today, but uh, you know, I'll just put it to you this way. It was the FBI, and the FBI did raid Roger Stone's house like a SWAT team, like he was some kind of, you know, terrorist or something. They did create a complete false Russian hoax at the taxpayer expense against the president to try to undo a duly elected president. So, we are talking about the FBI here, who also did nothing about the death threats that I received that were gruesome and disgusting. They did nothing. They didn't even ask to find out what was going on with them. If I had any more information, they could care less. So I don't really have a lot of faith in the FBI. Sorry, and if you're listening, well, you only proved it to us. So I really think that everybody should wait and see what's going to happen with Austin, because I was going to wait until later to comment on it, but you know what? I see some people already getting triggered by my mere mentioning his name, and let me just tell you something. The job of reporting is about being neutral. Only people who have a vested interest or have a shallow, weak ego are going to be out there trying to tell you how to think about it, tell you and force their opinion down your throat, which that's not what the goal of the Goldfish Report is. We are here to present the information, and you're supposed to use critical thinking to decide for yourself. We're going to ask questions. We're going to, do what we can to get to the bottom of things the best that we can with the little resources that we have. But you need to realize that there's a role for Austin to be playing. And you may not know what it is, but just like the Q posts from today, you know, Anons don't really get what's going on. They don't really understand they may find a lot of similarities. They really don't understand how to decode a lot of the messages on the Q board. You don't even really know if the Q board is is all entirely for just the anons to decode. These are messages, these are operatives who are giving messages in code. And let's not forget, folks, that the enemy is watching. So do you think they're really going to post something that you're going to figure out that the enemy could easily figure out? I mean, come on, folks. You got to get over yourself, honestly, because there's just it would be the most it would be the dumbest thing if this is a military operation that's behind Q. It would be the dumbest thing in the world if they were to release information that would be so easy to figure out. So I have a feeling that, as well good intended as people may be, you really might not get it right. Maybe some things you get right, but that's why I try to focus on the overall message that's being communicated, and not that the details, every little detail is not quite necessary because you might not get it right. So I really just want everybody to kind of get off of Austin's back about this. This man, who the hell wants the FBI to come raiding into your home, taking all of your equipment, terrorizing your family? Who the hell would want to do that? And whether you like him or not, it doesn't make any difference. The man was talking about the same thing that Q is talking about. He's out there on his videos talking about the deep state death cult. And he's not anonymous, but most of you are. How ironic is that? Someone who's anonymous calling someone out who put their name, their address, their phone number, their pictures of their wife, their family, expose themselves completely. Expose themselves completely to be vetted, to be explored, whatever. But these anons don't. So, you know what? I think people just need to kind of take a chill pill and stop thinking you're so important, because you're not that important. You're really not. You got to get over this competition, this need to be competitive, this need to get the most number of views, this need to, have the most tweets, or this need to, have the most, you know, uh, proofs that you think that you figured out or whatever. It's not about you. It's not about you. It's about all of us. And we're all in this together. And the president says this all the time. And and Q says this all the time. You got to get over your egos, man. You got to do it. Because you're making the whole Q movement look really bad. And I can tell you that it's just not about you. You got to get over it. People going out there, gloating about how Austin was arrested. We know that he said himself that he was forced to go out in public and he didn't want to do it. He said he wasn't happy about doing it. And we know from Tiffany Fontenot's reverse speech analysis that she confirmed in his reverse speech, that in Austin's reverse speech, that he was forced to go public and he would be forced to stop too. So, you know, this is this is who is forcing him, first of all, right? And let me tell you, if this and what did he do? He did something called activism, right? You see Greenpeace out there, you see all these libtards, you see Antifa in the streets vandalizing and not getting arrested. But he sends an email to protest and say, you know, I have property there and you're blocking my access to my property, and I'm going to protest this. And they're calling it extortion. We'll see if that's extortion. He wasn't demanding any money. He was, uh, you know, he was um, protesting that they were withholding his property. So, I think that it's interesting to see how this is going to develop. But let's, according to Austin, who spoke in a Baby Q Plus interview by phone, um, Austin said that the things that were written in the complaint were false. Oh my God, folks. Let me tell you, if you have never had the state or the federal government come down on your back, and in a political sense, you have no idea how they can ruin your life. If you're perceived as a threat, they're going to write as much defamatory stuff about you as they possibly can, because that's how they destroy people who are a threat to them. So Austin was a threat to the FBI. He wasn't part of that. He wasn't part of the deep state. He was a threat to them. That's why they went in there. So I think we know whose side Austin is on. Who's putting him up to this? Is it the DIA? We'll see. Who is it? Does he have a handler? We'll find out, you know? But let me tell you, this isn't fun. This is something you would hardly wish on your worst enemy, unless they did it something to deserve it. Now, I hardly think that Austin deserved having all of his property, his house torn to pieces, like he was some kind of drug smuggling, cartel leader. But this is a game of intimidation, right? And they do it to a lot of people. They've done it to me. They've done it to me. And I'm going to tell everybody my story one day. They will come at you with the full power of the government, and they will lie through their teeth if you're a threat to them in any way. And if they haven't been knocking on your door yet, you're not saying anything that's a threat. You're not saying anything important. So I just wanted to get that out of the way. I'm sorry, I really wanted to wait until the end of the broadcast, but you know what? I started seeing people talk about this in the live chat, and you know what? It just started to. It's not whether I'm on board with him or not. You see, that's the problem with the way people think. The way people think is that, like, there has to be one or the other. I gave Austin a chance and a platform to speak and talk, and just for you to decide. That doesn't mean that we support. I don't support everything everybody says who comes on the GoldFish Report, but people deserve to have a chance to have their story told. And you just use your own discernment. But screaming and shoving your opinion down someone else's throat is it's absolutely antithetical to Q. I'll just put it to you that way. It's not what this movement is about. And remember, it's not about you. It's about everybody. It's about all of us in this fight against the invisible enemy together. And tomorrow night, 8 p.m., I will be live streaming a report with Duncan O'Finian, who is a wizard. He is a paranormal specialist. He's a super soldier. Duncan's done some wild stuff in terms of the esoteric, in terms of the ether, in terms of how they weaponized these abilities in children. And we're going to talk about this invisible enemy. We're going to talk about what you need to know about the spiritual battle that's happening right now. So definitely tune in tomorrow at 8 p.m. because we will be talking about this, and the second half will be a Q&A, and you get to ask Duncan questions through the live chat. So it's not whether I believe Steinbart is Q. I never said he was Q. He's claiming to be Q. I confirmed that Austin was infiltrating these companies and essentially hacking their computers to find criminal content. Now, how is that any different than when you bring your computer to Geek Squad? They have a badge, they wear a badge. These guys who service our computers are obligated under law to report any kind of illegal activity they happen to find on someone's computer. Did you know that? They're all watching what's going on your computer. If there's any pornography or any kind of, illicit activity going on, they have the obligation to report you to the police. So How is that any different if he goes in as an IT specialist and finds this information? How is that really any different? So you might think it's different. It may be different, but maybe, as Austin said, if he's a spy, then he was obligated to find out this information. Okay. So basically, it doesn't matter if he's Q. Don't you understand? It doesn't matter. You see, that's where you're all wrong. You're all wrong in really focusing on whether he's Q, whether he's baby Q plus. That doesn't matter. You so lose the whole picture. You so lose the whole message. It's about what he talked about in his 25 videos that he published. You know, who cares if he's Q or not? The guy's out there, and now he's put his line, his neck and his reputation and his family and his home on the line. That's what matters. Okay? So that's all I have to say. I think that he has some role to play here. What is it exactly? I can't tell you for sure. But I can tell you that I did know, and when I knew this, I confirmed that he worked in these companies and was doing this to, and was accessing information and infiltrating them as he was working there. I just happened to have that confirmation. And let me also just say this, and I'm going to finish up on this, okay? Because I want to get to reporting on the president. But what's going to happen? This whole thing, this whole blockade against Datto was about his amorphous archive. Oh, what's in that amorphous archive? There's two archives, and if you go to BabyQ Plus YouTube channel, they have the links there to show you. This is going to be entered into evidence, folks. And there's going to be evidence of trafficking routes. There's going to be evidence of crimes. There's going to be WikiLeaks files. There's going to be emails. There's going to be cables from WikiLeaks. There's going to be a lot of information that's going to be entered into evidence in federal court. So I kind of think this, could have been a trap. I hate to think that Austin could have been used as bait by coming out, but it's possible. So, yeah. Yeah, I'm not gonna, you don't know what you're talking about. He's a drug addict nut. You don't even know what you're talking about. Do you people just want to make yourself feel important by calling him a drug addict nut? What do you know about whether he takes drugs? What do you know? This is what I'm saying. Okay, I'm not going to go into this. Yeah, exactly. The posts are on point. I'm definitely not going to. Look, folks, I'm interested in wanting in facts. I don't care about your opinion. Your opinion isn't about Austin, isn't based on any facts. It doesn't matter whether you're like him or not. You know what I'm saying? It matters that you give him a chance to talk and and at least realize that he's going out there on YouTube and he's making these videos that are making him a target. Clearly made him a target. And he's suffering the consequences of that right now. Okay, I think it's done. Thank you. So, okay, I Atomic 419, I'm done with this, okay? I just think that you lose if you really think it doesn't matter. Nope, if you know who Q is, then you put it in that chat. You tell us who it is, okay? Game's up. You've had us fooled because you know, right? Just like Sather, he knows who Q is because he knows it isn't Austin Steinbart, right? Because he knows who Q is. And same with Praying Medic, and same with everybody else who was trashing Austin. Too bad, because they know who Q is. Guys, you got to stop. You got to stop with your egos, and you got to stop. This is not about you. You have to get over that. Get over yourself first, and then you can come back. And I really hope you apologize to Austin, because it really doesn't matter if he's Q or not. Clearly, he knows a lot about the details of what's going on. He talks about it in all of his videos. Show me your videos where you're talking about this and you're putting your reputation, you're putting your family at risk. So all I can say is clearly he's being protected somehow, and let's just wish him the best no matter what happens. Okay, let's move along. Yeah. No, don't listen to negativity. And I just feel like I really had to come out and say this. And it's not like it doesn't, to me, it doesn't matter if he's Q, baby Q or not. It doesn't make any difference. What matters is that, like GoldFish Report has been putting out this information for what, 5 years now? We've had death threats. We've had our YouTube channel taken down. We are retaliated against for the things we're talking about. What is Austin talking about? Look how quick he grew. And he grew so quickly and brought attention to what was going on because he, made the claim that he was baby Q plus and Q plus from the future. Okay. So yeah, his account grew very quickly and there was a purpose for this. And maybe you don't know what that really is right now. But guys, you got to think and realize we're at war. This is a military operation. And if you think you've got it all figured out, you're only fooling yourself. Don't let this be about you, okay? Because this is much, much bigger than you and there's so much at stake here. So let's move along. That's, okay, you got me to do this up front. So now that I've done it, let's move on. I just hate to see, people, they're misdirected because they're making this about them. This is about them, right? By the way, before I go any further, I just want to let everybody know the president did talk. He had a mental health conference, a phone call this week about people dealing with the stress of being home, people, being stuck inside, not being able to go out, not even being able to celebrate the holidays how they normally would like to with their families and friends. And I'm just saying that because that's what my background is in. It's in mental health, and so I just hope everybody can do something. What my suggestion would be to folks is to do something to treat yourself somehow. Just do something to treat yourself. And I'm actually doing that right now. And I'm drinking a cream soda, which I don't usually treat myself for, but I do love cream soda. And it does remind me of someone special, so who also liked it. So brings back good memories. So um, for me, it's a treat because I don't like to indulge too much in things that are, sugary and you know carbonated actually. So, but any event, I am treating myself to it. It's cold, it's refreshing, and it's a real special treat. Maybe you can find something else that you like that you can treat yourself to, but be good to yourself right now. Try to do things that you enjoy. I know being stuck indoors with family can be good, but it can also be bad. Believe me, I know. But we're being asked right now to go within and to do some cleanup work right now, because right now this is about freeing humanity. This is a period of reflection that we're in. This is a chance for us, with all the theatrics that are going on between mainstream media, you see why the president's doing his own press conferences. This is about what is real and what is not real. This is about the massive awakening to the truth of yourself and the world, and realizing that a lot of things that have been playing into their lives has been false, right? False manhood, false societies, false social structures, right? So we're in the process of resetting all of this, right? The indoctrination of who we are, resetting this indoctrination of who we are as human beings. That's what's going on right now. This is a chance for us to realize it's not about in any one of us. but it's about all of us. Uh, because the system that was created to help us function is actually what is destroying us. And this is a chance for self-reflection of your own life and the world itself. How you are helping the process and your family, right? How you are contributing to maintain this status quo, or how you are helping the process, realizing and becoming aware and conscious of what's really happening, and who you are connected to, and that you're all light. You're each and every one. We're going back to our source. Because when you really look at all the news and you look at even all the well-intended people on social media, I don't have it right 100% of the time. I like to think it's close to 100%, but I'm not going to say I'm 100% right all the time. Uh, when I report on some intel that I get, I'd like to think it's close though, but it doesn't, because I don't want to give out misinformation. But this is about how do you want to be, or how do you want to see yourself coming out of this? Because we are really being tested. This is a true test for humanity. The problem is that a lot of people are just sitting around being couch potatoes and just being distracted by Netflix and not really seeing what's happening right now in the world. Society is a little bit selfish, I think. We've been way too consumed with our own needs and our own gratification. And now we have to start thinking about other people. We have to start thinking about how we affect other people. It's actually making us think about this, right? Because we have to stand 6 feet away from everybody wherever we end up going, right? We have to wear the mask. We have to put the gloves on, whatever. I mean, at Dunkin' Donuts today, where I got my coffee, my latte today, right? At Dunkin' Donuts, the sign on the door said, you can't enter unless you have a mask and gloves on. So this is the new normal for now, until we can get past this. But this is the new age of Aquarius, folks, and we have to seek the answers within ourselves. It doesn't matter what my opinion is. It doesn't matter what anybody's opinion is, because at the end of the day, it's just you and yourself. Me, myself, and I, right? This gives us a chance to go within and get to connect with our Creator again. And what wonderful time that this is, right here on Good Friday and a holy weekend coming into Easter weekend, right? So it's best, to kind of take a step back. A lot of people who are having a tough time are people who, don't trade your life, for this idea of success, when this materialistic 3D idea of success. So you have to give back to yourself and really learn what your true currency is. We're all very, very abundant. So I wanted to talk about that because this is exactly what the president's talking about this week. We do have reports that there are children being rescued out of these tunnels in the city. I really hope that we will learn more about that as time goes on. As we said earlier, the president says this is a military operation for a virus, folks. It's not just a virus. It is absolutely a spiritual war. They do want us to prepare. Q is posting about more attacks against Trump, the last ammunition of the dark. They're going to try to use every word he says against him. They're going to try to twist his words so to give them meaning that they don't have, to take them out of context. And you can see it in the press conferences. Oh God, could you imagine how triggered I would be if I was there among these people? I'd probably not be a good idea to be there. As you know, the New York and New Jersey are hot spots right now for the coronavirus. So The president has sent the USN Comfort for COVID-19 purposes. Also, the Mercy is also being used for the same thing over in LA. They did reach a deal with 3M, as you know, this week, right? 66.5 million masks over the next 3 months. Good stuff. National stockpile. This whole thing, the president had a meeting with OPEC, and it's interesting because the supply is down. Demand, I mean, the supply is up, but the demand is down. And you can see the lovely gas prices that we have now. It's very interesting to see where this is going, though. But the president did assure us that we are rebuilding our stockpile, our national emergency stockpile of oil. At these prices, how could you not do that, right? The president noted and tweeted this week, light at the end of the tunnel. Now, how appropriate is that, right? Rescuing kids out of a tunnel this week, light at the end of a tunnel. He called it a plague. And it is a plague, this dark, satanic death cult, as Austin Steinbart called it. He was right. It's a death cult, right? Talks about soldiers going into battle. The president is keeping us on top of this, right? Okay, so let me move along. I'm going to screen share. Let me just check in with the viewers over here. Hi, everybody. I'm just checking in. Yeah. Okay. Great. I'm so glad that everybody's, thanks for everybody for joining us. I'm not going to spend much time in the chat. I see you there. I appreciate everybody joining us. Welcome. But I'm going to go back and, just so you know, YouTube demonetized us, so there's no way to donate super chats or any kind of people who wanted to do donations or anything like that. They definitely have to go through our website and use PayPal because, of course, they're going to demonetize us because we made it back. Folks, we finally made it back up to 12,000 subscribers again. That's where we were when YouTube deleted our original channel. So we are back to up to 12,000 subscribers again, and we had to work our way back. This is about the message. It's about the message, message over messenger. So here we go. The president's approving several disaster declarations, as you knew this was going to come, right? You knew this was going to come because every state has to have a disaster declaration, right? In order to get these the funds. Oh, I'm sorry. I just had to have a sip of that cream soda. It is so good. Oh, it's so yum. Okay, so what can you do? What you can do on this World Health Day. So April 7th was World Health Day. And amid the global coronavirus pandemic, it was a moment to acknowledge the incredible work being done to protect the health and well-being of our fellow Americans. So here's a statement. I'm not going to go into a lot of detail on the statements because you can go to the blog, the goldfishreport.blogspot.com, and you can check out, especially the transcripts. I'm not even, I was starting to post the transcripts, folks, and something was really odd with the formatting on it, and it was just completely messed up and skewed. So I haven't been posting the most recent ones. I had been up to that point, but something happened and it was messing up the whole blog because it wasn't posting properly. The formatting of how I received them from the press secretary's office, the formatting was unusual in the email. So I haven't been posting those. I hope to be posting them, getting back on schedule to post them once I can figure out what the problem was with the formatting. Okay, so here we're talking about the 30-day coronavirus guideline. I think we are shooting for a May 1st target date to have all this, resolve in the month of April. It looks like that's a realistic projection there. He said, and this was it earlier in the week, we're all in this fight together. Remember this, guys, together. It's not about any one person. If anything, President Trump deserves the accolades. He deserves the lauding. He deserves the praise. He deserves what he deserves. And truly, you know, what a great leader this man truly is. And if all world leaders were kings, I would say he is clearly the king of earthly kings. That's very that's the name of this report tonight, because he truly has risen like a king. And I don't mean it in the tyrannical sense. I mean it in terms of leadership. Because in terms of leaders around the world, he just seems to be the king of kings, of among all kings. Do you know what I mean? And I use the word kings just loosely. I mean world leaders. Do you know what I'm saying? So it's like he truly has risen to be a very great leader, uh, especially, commander at a time like this. So here you have the president stating, President Trump yesterday described the response as an all-out military operation. And he's right. Thanks to the Army Corps of Engineers, New York City's Javits Convention Center has been converted into one of the largest hospitals in America. At this moment, the Army Corps of Engineers are building 22 similar field hospitals and alternate uh, care sites across 18 states. And I wonder if across all these 18 states, they're also rescuing other children that have been trafficked. And today, the president talked about the human trafficking problem, and we're going to get to that very shortly. He said, as of yesterday, this was again on the 7th, FEMA and the Department of Health and Human Services have distributed 11.7 million N95 respirators, 26.5 million surgical masks, 5.3 million face shields, and 4.4 million surgical gowns, and 22.6 million gloves throughout America. Now, on Twitter, you could see images of French medical workers in the hospital trying on these gowns that were made in China, and they're just literally falling to pieces, falling apart as they're trying to put them on. So I think this this epidemic, this pandemic, has come to really show us, United States, that we cannot rely on other countries for our necessity, our most important needs. At some point, right, you have to have capitalism with a conscience, right? Like, we have to take care of our own first. Like, why would we want to continue to allow China to make parts for our military communication systems? Oh, what a great idea that was. I hope we learned our lesson. We have been awe-inspired by the exceptional courage of the doctors, nurses, EMTs, and healthcare workers who are the soldiers of this war, President Trump said. No words can ever express and complete the measure of our gratitude for these intrepid heroes. Uh, yeah, we have the Surgeon General. What's with this guy today at the news conference? I mean, what the heck? He's talking about, you know, he's talking about, the, what was it? The Hispanic community being disproportionately affected by coronavirus, and the Black community being disproportionately, like, what? Oh my goodness. Okay, let's keep going. Okay, Trump announced updated CDC recommendations last Friday to help families protect themselves. New studies show that transmission from people without symptoms is a more significant factor than was previously known. Okay, CDC, in light of these studies, CDC is advising the use of non-medical cloth face covering as an additional voluntary public health measure. So it is voluntary. But not if you go to Dunkin' Donuts. It's not voluntary. You have to have some kind of mask on, or put your clothes up over your face or something. So he says you don't have to do it, but then you can't go to Dunkin' Donuts. So to get coffee, they suggested it for a period of time. Okay, the guidelines. You can go to the blog and click on this hyperlink, and you can look at what all the guidelines are in terms of hygiene. You still have to wash your hands, stand 6 feet away from people, wear gloves, wear mask if you feel inclined to do that, but just know some stores are requiring you to have that. The United States will defeat this invisible enemy. On this World Health Day, Melania and I join a grateful nation in paying tribute to all of our doctors, nurses, healthcare administrators, researchers, scientists, educators, public health officials, and all of the extraordinary men and women who helped diagnose, heal, inform, protect, and reassure the American people. And here's a photo of uh, the coronavirus task force um, briefing, White House briefing. So let's keep moving along, right? So here we have President Trump still leads while opponents stay on attack. I mean, this is just getting so old, but this has to play out, folks. This has to wake people up. I mean, the ones that are really glued to the television, the ones who really are the sleepwalkers. I mean, the world before, you have to realize that before the perp walks, before the indictments, of course, there were some unsealed in DC, which was talked about and Q posted about today. Before the tribunals can be aired, before any of this can happen, the public has to understand that the media is not trustworthy. They have to get that. And unfortunately, for us, anyone watching GoldFish Report pretty much knows. We already know this. We're kind of like ad nauseum. We know this, right? Whew. It's like, who can listen to? I mean, it just gets crazy. It really gets, I mean, that I think has more of a psychological impact on, you know, on the awake community than being stuck in the house for 30 days or more, because it's like, it's just monotony. It's absolute monotony. This is my opinion. But again, if you feel like you're having moments when you're losing, you know, you're having challenges to coping with what's going on, there's definitely, mental health. I think the president's going to be making mental health um, services available for people. But definitely, if you really feel you need help, you should reach out and get that professional help. I'm not offering any professional help. I'm just making a recommendation as to uh, if you find yourself just going a little stir crazy in the house, just try to do something that you really, really enjoy, something that you can really treat yourself, that you don't usually let and I just think that generally helps people. So it's a general recommendation. It's not anything specific for anybody. Um, something that you don't normally allow yourself to indulge in, if it's healthy, you know, um, do something, treat yourself, bake a cake, bake cookies with your kids, do something you wouldn't ordinarily do and that you can sit and enjoy, cook a real fancy meal or something you normally wouldn't do, whatever you want to do that um, you can treat yourself to something. So that's one way, but also just realize we have to take it one day at a time. We can't be sitting here saying, oh my God, 30 more days of this. Oh my God, I'm going to go crazy, because then you will go crazy. You will have great difficulty in coming unglued throughout this period. So definitely reach out for mental health services if you feel like you're approaching that if you feel unstable in any way. But for the general folk who, is getting it, this is cramping your style. That's who I'm really talking about here. It's really a good idea to just try to do something, to something completely different, and just take it one day at a time, honestly, because it can be very overwhelming, and we can build this mountain of, fear and uncertainty in front of us that doesn't really exist, that we're only building ourselves. So, don't do that to yourself, and try to help people out who are also feeling the crunch too. Just one day at a time, folks. Let's just take one day at a time and realize we have the best commander in the world as our commander in chief. We are very lucky. We really are. So I think President Trump's he's doing an amazing job, better than anybody could ever expect, 10 times better than expected. And yet the media here will stay on attack, right? So here's the president. President Trump is doing everything in his power to ensure the health and safety of the American people during the coronavirus pandemic. In the past months of global crisis have united our country. Outside of Washington, that's happening again. Strong majorities of Americans approve of the president's coronavirus response and are confident in the federal government's ability to handle it. Regrettably, partisan Democrats in Congress and the media can't help but play politics. So you can click there to read more, right? They wanted to hold up the relief bill. Well, they wanted to put all this pork in it. I mean, they just don't stop. I'm sorry. I'm just having another sip of my glorious cream soda. Stewart's, by the way. It's pretty good. There's other ones that are probably even a little bit better. Okay, so having practiced medicine for nearly 30 years, I have seen now foreign dependence, specifically on imports from China, harms the medical supply chain and our readiness for an outbreak firsthand. The COVID-19 pandemic has exacerbated problems that were already festering, according to Representative Roger Marshall of Kansas. So, during this time, President Trump pledged to reinvigorate U.S. auto manufacturing by rewriting costly, unrealistic fuel economy and vehicle emission standards. The new Safe Vehicles rule upholds that promise, raising fuel economy standards by a reasonable 1.5% per year to promote safe, clean, and affordable cars, according to Transportation Secretary Elaine Chao. Okay, so when the president announced a restriction on travel from Europe last month, European officials erupted in outrage. A few days later, those same officials would propose their own bans, right? In the coronavirus crisis, everyone realizes the importance of borders, even with the people who not long ago were ideologically hostile towards them. There's some countries who haven't even shut their borders. I mean, that took a very, very long time. And unfortunately, we may see a very big, spike in coronavirus outbreak in those countries. Again, here's the presidential message on World Health Day. This was on April 7th. You can go and take a look at this in more detail. I'm not going to read it. The First Lady, Melania Trump, announces a new chief of staff, and that would be Stephanie Grisham, who is no longer the press secretary for the president. She was the press secretary for the First Lady, but now she is the chief of staff for the First Lady. So that's really wonderful. I'm excited to welcome Stephanie back to the team in this new role, stated the First Lady, Melania Trump. Yeah, she has been a mainstay and true leader in the administration from even before day one. I know she will excel as chief of staff. So that's great. Good for you. And congratulations, Stephanie Grisham. And we wish you a lot of luck in that new position. And there is a new press secretary, and her name escapes me at the moment. Like I should know, right? But I just haven't really seen much from her yet. So I'll remember her name more as I go along. So here it's by the numbers, a massive nationwide response. We know about this, folks, don't we? Right? By tomorrow, the federal government will have deployed over 3,000 military and public health professionals to New York, New Jersey, and Connecticut, and other parts of our country most affected by coronavirus. So this is a huge military operation, right? In the last 7 days, FEMA has airlifted crucial supplies and protective equipment from every corner of the earth. Since last Sunday, cargo planes have delivered nearly 300 million gloves. And I'm not going to go through the numbers again. You can come to the blog and you can read about the numbers, okay? They're all there. As far as the tests, they're talking about tests. There are reports that some of the tests, and I'm not sure which ones and where they came from, but some are saying the ones from China were actually contaminated with the COVID-19 virus. I can't confirm that. Of course, we all know to stay the hell away from vaccinations. It's ridiculous. Okay, let's move on. Okay, so then in addition, these public health actions, President Trump has worked with Congress to prioritize the economic needs of American workers and small businesses. The $2 trillion CARES Act, signed into law on March 27th, provides qualifying families with up to $2,400 in tax repayments, along with an additional $500 for each child. And there's also the Paycheck Protection Program, which was launched last Friday, approved more than 17,500 loans valued at over $5.4 billion on its first day. These loans, intended to keep more Americans employed, are 100% forgivable if used for qualifying expenses and if all employees are kept on payroll. America is thankful to every family making sacrifices for the good of our country during this time, and especially to the healthcare workers fighting this virus and saving lives each and every day. So we're in this together, right? As I started the report out tonight, we're in this together. It's not about, you know, one person or one person's opinion, or whether one person, can figure out what's going on. Let me tell you, if you are really figuring this out, then you must think our military is really stupid, because there's no way that our military is going to be that negligent to put something up there that would in any way give the enemy any kind of insight into what they're doing. So they throw out some coincidences to some of the bakers out there and add-ons. They throw some crumbs out there and they see what people bake out of it, but they never acknowledge whether you're right or wrong on things, because they can't. It's a military operation. They're never going to tell us what they're doing. Never. And they shouldn't. We can guess, but Q has also said this, and I'll get to that in just a minute. Here it is. Vice President Pence also says there's light at the end of the tunnel, thanks to the American people. Right, because we did our part, folks. We stayed inside, we stayed out of the way, and allowed them to do what they needed to do. And if they're there helping these children and rescuing people who have been trafficked, yeah, there's huge human trafficking, and the president talked about that today. It's not a surprise, folks. Here's another photo of another press briefing. Here's a background call regarding space resources. Yeah, I want to do a separate report on this. I'm not going to get into much detail about this today, but this is interesting. This is about moon resources. As America prepares to return humans to the moon and journey on to Mars, this executive order establishes U.S. policy toward the recovery and use of space resources, such as water and certain minerals, in order to encourage the commercial development of space. Now, we already know this from HR 2262 and HR 1508, which I've reported on, right? We already have laws about asteroid mining, about establishing legal jurisdiction when there's disputes in space regarding entrepreneurs or anyone who's doing space mining, right? Minerals and things of that nature. So there's a lot going on there. So I'm just going to leave this here for right now, because this is a separate topic that I would like to go over, because one of my favorite areas to report on is space policy, which you know about if you follow GoldFish Report. So I'm going to go through this very quickly. Okay, here's the executive order encouraging international support for the recovery and use of space resources. This is good. It's very interesting, and this is also going to be, because it's an executive order, it's also going to be published in the National Register as well. Okay, that's where it's going to be available. But you can come to the blog and check this out. Also, on April 6th, we have more nominations sent to the Senate. We have Inspector General for Department of Defense. We have more for the Tennessee Valley Authority. God, that's a big organization, because he's had to replace a lot of people there. Department of Education, Special Inspector General for Pandemic Recovery, and Inspector General, the CIA. Let's read this carefully. Peter Michael Thompson of Louisiana to be Inspector General of the Central Intelligence Agency. Remember this. Interesting that POTUS is sending these nominations to the Senate. Just something to keep an eye on, folks. Let's check in with the live chat. How's everybody doing? How's everyone doing tonight? Yeah, I'm moving along. I've got to get moving a little bit faster. Yeah. Okay, moving along. Let's do this. Let's get this done. Here we go. Okay, so Wednesday, April 8th, we have President Trump's message to America's big banks. Yeah, so President Trump called on CEOs from America's largest financial institutions to join him for a conference call yesterday. His message: keep doing everything you can to support our nation's small businesses during this pandemic. We're grateful for many ways in which your companies have answered the call to join our national endeavor, he said. Thank you for donating tens of millions of dollars. Donating. Did you ever hear of a bank donating? Okay. I hope I read that right. Okay. That sounds pretty funny. Okay, millions of Americans are doing their part by staying home to slow the spread of coronavirus. Exactly. And we're also staying out of the way of their operations, whatever they may be right now, right? They deserve all the support they can get. On Friday, President Trump's Small Business Administration launched the Paycheck Protection Program, which authorizes $350 billion in forgivable loans for companies that keep workers on payroll. Yeah, we'll keep fighting for you. It's a movie. It's a clip from Ivanka Trump, but I'm not going to play it right now, just because of time. We have a lot to go through. Okay, so the SBA has processed more than 70 billion in guaranteed loans. Here we go. This is a game changer. So this is about getting paychecks. So many people have lost their jobs, though, folks. I mean, that's a whole other issue. With all these companies closing down, not everybody's able to keep employees paid. So that's we'll still hear how they will help those business owners and those laid off employees, right? Well, we do know that they are extending benefits, unemployment benefits, so that is one way to do it. Those unemployment benefits are no way near what a salary, equal or equivalent to a salary. They don't compare to what someone earned as a salary. It's a mere fraction of salary. So I don't know. All I can say is that all the services I need to do my reporting and to run the business, the GoldFish Report, they keep debiting my account every month for all the services, for all the equipment, for all of the subscriptions for services that I need. So it's still, they're not going to forgive that, right? So businesses still have to run and operate, so we'll see what happens. We could definitely use the help, there's no question. America's 30 million small businesses together employ more than 60 million people. Their survival is essential to our country. Okay, we know that. And so here is a photo of the pink full moon, the largest full moon of 2020, rises above the White House. And it was pink at first as it ascended into the sky, though. It lost its that pink hue that it had. But this is late night, at the White House here with only just the front lights on, a few of the front lights. For the longest time, there was a bucket in that window. It looks like they took the bucket out because when I was reporting from there, that bucket was always there. It's like, don't people know you can see that bucket from the outside? So whatever. So we have, President Trump announces additions to White House staff. So here we have, Kayleigh McEnany. And so that's the new National Press Secretary. So I'm sorry, the White House member of the White House staff. She's the new White House Press Secretary. Okay, and so we also have what's her name, Alyssa Farah. Farah is joining the White House as Director of Strategic Communications from her current role as Press Secretary for the Department of Defense. In addition, Ben Williamson, currently Senior Advisor to the White House Chief, will work with McNanny, actually, and Farah as Senior Communications Advisor. Okay, so we knew that happened earlier in the week. Just in case you didn't, that's what happened at the White House. Memorandum on providing federal support for governors' use of the National Guard to respond to COVID-19. Yes. So the governors now have the ability to call upon the National Guard for whatever support and help that they need. And I think in most cases, it's just making sure that businesses aren't vandalized, probably providing extra security on the streets, kind of like how it was after Hurricane Sandy. We had the National Guard on the street around here in the Northeast because we had we had a mess. Boy, did we have a mess. And there was really no way to protect businesses with their inventories and things like that, and even individuals. So, it was one way to keep people from, keep the crime down and keep it under control, because they needed extra support. So, it's probably a number of reasons why the states will need the National Guard. Those are among some of them. Okay, so let me just check in before we go over our final list of. Hi, Christina. Thank you. From Poland. Well, my goldfish girlfriend, Mikhail Jackson. It's my girlfriend, Goldfish Girl. Thanks, guys. I really appreciate your support. I really do. And all of our viewers around the world, from Poland, from UK, from everywhere, our darling friends from Norway, who are always in our chat, and from everywhere. I love you all. I really do. What do you mean, please resist Satanism? What are you talking about, Freeman King? This is what I'm trying to tell people. This is what runs our world. Yeah. I mean, this is exactly what they do. Not me. Oh, no way. And I can't even believe somebody would say something like that. I'll probably just ignore you next time. I just happened to catch that. Yeah, if you're like a troll, you can just get the heck out, because I think what I should just do is just delete you. I shouldn't even be distracted by you. Where's my buddy? Where's my buddy Shari? She's usually here. I should make her actually I should make Slim moderator and kick some of these people out of here. They don't really belong. Okay, so let's keep going, because we need to finish up. We have one more let's see. Wow. Yeah, we have one more day of posts, and some of these are from yesterday, and some of these are from today. Okay, so this one in particular is from today. So I'm going to screen share some video. Oh, sorry, I'm about to sneeze. So here we have from today: we are beating this virus. Keep up the fight. The president here is talking about this. I'm going to play this. This is from a Twitter page. I'm going to re-screen share this. This is from a Twitter page. Let's hear what they have to say. I just had to let that play because I had to blow my nose real quick. Okay, so that's one of the public service announcements about the hygiene issues. It's just a reminder about what to do when it comes to stopping the spread of this. And we have some other things that I wanted to share with viewers. This is Good Friday, as you know, and since we're on our Friday report, I'm going to screen share what the president had to say today for Good Friday.
Today is Good Friday, and this Sunday, millions of Christians celebrate Easter and the resurrection of Jesus Christ. At this holy time, we pray that God will heal the sick and comfort the heartbroken and bless our heroes. As American families look forward to Easter, we're reminded that our story ends not in despair, but in triumph and renewal. Very appropriate, isn't it? Today is Good Friday, and this Sunday.
Okay, so it sure is. Blessing at this holy time, we pray that God will heal the sick and comfort the heartbroken and bless our heroes. So that's very, very revealing. we are talking about a lot of people who have succumbed to this virus as well. So, oh my God, there's so much going on with Trump, with Fauci. Let's hear what this one was about.
There's new reporting today that new federal projections suggest lifting.
Hold on a second. Let's listen to this. This is.
I'd like to ask you, if I can, about the new federal projections that suggest lifting the 30-day shelter-in-place orders would lead to a spike in infections. Have you seen those new projections from your Department of Homeland Security and HHS?
When did they say this would take place? When?
They said that it would take place if the 30-day shelter-in-place were to be removed. There are three different examples.
We'll talk about that. Doctor, would you like to talk about that?
In fact, you're thinking, though, that
We haven't seen it.
They haven't seen it. I guess you're saying I guess they leaked it to NBC.
they didn't leak it to us. It's being reported.
Nobody's seen it, and they're the ones that do it.
It's your administration, so I asked. It's from the HHS and DOJ. Yeah. I'll circle back.
We'll find out about it. They don't know about it.
So in
You want to
terms,
say something, Jonathan?
First of all, Peter, I haven't seen that, so I can't quote on that. But yeah, that's okay. I still haven't seen it. I've been in here all day.
I'm just telling you what I know.
So what I think that they're talking about is that.
Yeah. So they don't even know what they're talking about. Isn't that interesting? He hasn't seen it, and the president knows nothing about it. So it looks like fake news is at it again. Or Fauci got caught leaking info to the press, and now Trump knows it. Oh, look at that. Look at that. Wow. Somebody's in big trouble. Somebody's in trouble. Oh, no. Someone going to be arrested for going for a run on the beach? Are you kidding? Oh, no. You have to be kidding me. Check this out. I'm sorry. Once this guy realized he was being followed, he took off. Oh my God. You know, and this is wonderful because I really do want to talk about that we really need to be praying for President Trump right now. And I really wanted to do like a special prayer for the president, not myself personally, but I want to kind of, you know, just kind of encourage folks to be praying for our president, truly, that he makes the right decisions, and that you give him strength and pray for his protection as well. So I think that's a really, really, really important thing that we can do for the president. But you know, he did tweet today, and I was trying to find his tweet. Here it is. He's talking about tweeted. Yeah, here he tweeted, "The invisible enemy will soon be in full retreat." I'm going to screen share the tweets for you, just so you can see what I'm looking at. He wished happy Good Friday to everybody. I'm going to retweet that. I didn't retweet it yet. But it had something to do with scot-free. Scott and scot-free. Yeah, here it is. So it was like, it was earlier today. I think he tweeted it. And there was an interesting video I saw somebody post, and let me just screen share that, because this is not a coincidence, right? Scot-free, just informed talk. Let's take a listen.
New from Barker Brothers, a game for the entire family. Scot-free. Your team has just assassinated the president. Can you get away scot-free? Shake the dice and see. Great! You found a patsy. Go again. Bonus card. You get Jack Ruby to kill your patsy. That's good because dead men don't talk. Oh no, Abraham Zapruder films the assassination. Tough break, but now you go again. And a stroke of luck, 22 material witnesses die of unnatural causes. Now your opponent shakes again. Uh-oh, look out. Life magazine buys the Zapruder film. But you buy Life magazine and show the frames out of sequence. You're almost home. Now you must spin the public opinion board. You've done it! The public believes it! You're scot-free!
Yeah, that's very interesting, huh? I mean, how else do you red pill people, folks? I mean, what else? How much else can you do? I'm going to tweet that actually as well. So, and if we, I'm still not done. I'm going to continue with the reports, and then we'll talk a little bit about Q, and then I'll wrap this up. Okay. So, thanks to the selflessness and patriotism of Americans who have rallied behind President Trump's coronavirus guidelines, we are slowing the spread of the disease and saving many, many lives. President Trump's guidelines called for 30 days of mitigation efforts, which continue through the end of April. Yeah, according to health experts. I think we are looking for a May 1st day here to kind of get things moving along. I really hope so. Maybe sooner. The president says maybe sooner. Maybe limitations on this. I'm not sure. Well, we'll see, right? When more people protect themselves and stay healthy, more space frees up in our hospitals to treat the sick. When more people socially distance themselves and follow President Trump's guidelines, more time is bought to develop safe, effective treatments, right? So here we are. Our best weapon: stay 6 feet away from the nearest person when you're out, when you have to go out and buy food or something. Avoid large crowds. Anyone can become a carrier of this disease. Some say it's a bioweapon. The administration obviously has not confirmed that, but they are absolutely acting as if it is, right? Take care of yourself, get enough sleep, exercise, and call a friend. Absolutely. Don't stay isolated. That's just a terrible thing to do for yourself. You need to really kind of reach out to people. I think most people would be very understanding at this time. And probably very much welcoming the social interaction, even if it's by phone or by Skype or by Zoom or whatever, or FaceTime or whatever. I think a lot of people would actually welcome some more interaction. So you should call, check on, your loved ones, any elderly who are living alone. Try to see if you can help them if they need food, if they need medicine. Please try to help people out, because we're all one. We're all here in this together. We're all in this together, right? So here we have Vice President Pence. Americans' diligence is paying off. And clearly, they're all agreeing on that. Here, President Trump participates in Easter blessings. On Good Friday, Christians around the world pause to remember Jesus' suffering and death upon the cross. On Sunday, they'll celebrate his glorious resurrection. As America battles the deadly coronavirus, there are some changes this year to the way we must honor this holy occasion. Americans believe in the power of prayer. There's no question about that. You can call it prayer, meditation, prayer. Um, it's pretty much the same thing. It's when you're putting it's when you communicate with your creator. So that's what prayer does, because who else are you praying to? So though we will not be able to gather together with one another as we normally would on Easter, we can use the sacred time to focus on prayer, reflection, and growing in our personal relationship with God, President Trump said in the Oval Office. And that's kind of what I started out saying in the beginning. I was taking notes from from just collective thinking from many different places and places of inspiration, I would say. And this is really what it's about. It's about a period of reflection, for sure. And, knowing the difference between what is real and what is not real. Ideas of falseness. It's just lots of different things. I'm not going to repeat what I already of Bishop Harry Jackson delivering the Easter blessing in the Oval Office. There's the photo of the day with the president and the vice president, right? You have the President Trump announces intent to appoint the following individuals to key administration posts. You have Sean Ducey of Massachusetts to be the representative of the United States of America on the Council of the International Civil Aviation Organization at the Department of State. You can look about his bio. If you go to the blog, you can go to the goldfishreport.blogspot.com and check out his background. Marshall Billingsley of Virginia to be the special presidential envoy for arms control in the Department of State. You can look there as well. And Admiral Thomas Fargo, USN retired, of Hawaii to be the member of the board of directors for the Presidio Trust for a term expiring May 4th, 2021. Does anybody know what the Presidio Trust is? I bet Catherine Austin Fitz knows. And she's been tweeting like crazy lately. She's really a wonderful advocate and incredibly talented and financial analyst and expert. And of course, she was the former director. She is the former director of HUD, so she's very knowledgeable, and I do enjoy her reports. Here is the president's remarks at the Easter blessing with Bishop Harry Jackson. You can come here and take a look at this time. Take a look at this, but I will read a little bit, okay? At this holy time, our nation is engaged in a battle like never before, the invisible enemy. We're talking dark versus light. We're talking about good versus evil. That's the invisible enemy that we're fighting, folks. Our brave doctors and nurses and responders, first responders of all, are fighting to save lives. Our workers are racing to deliver critical medical supplies. Our best scientists are working around the clock to develop life-saving therapeutics, and I think they're all doing really well in doing so. Our people are making tremendous sacrifices to end this pandemic. He did start this out and say, on this Good Friday, Christians from all over the world remember the suffering and death upon the cross of our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ. At Easter Sunday, we will celebrate his glorious resurrection, right as I had said before. I ask all Americans, this is from the president, I ask all Americans to pray that God will heal our nation, to bring comfort to those who are grieving, to give strength to the doctors, nurses, and healthcare workers, to restore health to the sick, and to renew the hope in every person who is suffering. Our nation will come through like never before. I think we should add all of our military personnel and armed forces and all of our local police as well, who are there to help us as well, and who always put their lives on the line every single day to protect the community. He says, I thank the many families who have prayed for me and my family, and your prayers are felt, and I am forever grateful. It's very nice. I'd like to thank our great Vice President and his wonderful wife, who we all know very well, Karen, for the incredible job they do and for their service, not only to the country, but for their service to God. Almost 3,000 years ago, the prophet Isaiah wrote these words, darkness covers the earth, but the Lord rises up upon you, and his glory appears over you, for the Lord will be your everlasting light. Notice darkness covers the earth. Boy, we were just saying, where were we incarnating? What were we thinking? Okay, but the Lord rises upon you and his glory appears over you. For the Lord will be your everlasting light. Yeah, just keep the light no matter how dark and dismal it gets. That's our challenge, isn't it? That's our challenge. So as our nation battles the invisible enemy, we reaffirm that Americans believe in the power of prayer, and we give thanks for the majesty and creation and for the gift of eternal life. And we place our trust in the hands of Almighty God. Oh, we sure do. Okay, I'd like to just wish everybody a very happy Easter. We're going to be celebrating that very, very special day, and it's going to be hopefully a very good weekend and a very productive weekend. Okay, so let's move along. This is a long conversation. Here is the text from the mental health conference call. The president, the first lady, the vice president was there, second lady spoke by telephone with hundreds of American mental health professionals, leaders, and advocates to discuss the effects COVID-19 is having on the American people. Today's COVID-19 call was the first to bring these four influential leaders together on one issue. The president recognized that a great number of Americans are enduring hardships, including loneliness from social distancing, despair from being out of work, anxiety from the danger of the virus, and grief from the loss of a loved one. President Trump thanked the doctors, counselors, and many other mental health professionals on the call for providing vital mental health services during this time through the telehealth. The mental health professionals thanked President Trump for his attention to mental health during this challenging time, including $425 million for mental health and substance abuse services included in the CARES Act, expansion of tele-mental health services, and increased capacity of the disaster distress hotline. President Trump remains committed to providing Americans with the vital mental health resources and services and to continuing the administration's efforts to combat drug demand and the opioid crisis. And this is a list of who the individuals were who were present and the external participants and so forth, according to the press poolers today. Amid a pandemic, Voice of America spends your money to promote foreign propaganda. What? Okay, Voice of America is a global news network funded by American taxpayers. It spends about $200 million each year on its mission to tell America's story and present the policies of the United States clearly and effectively to people around the globe. Today, however, Voice of America too often speaks for America's adversaries, not its citizens. The coronavirus pandemic is no exception. Secrecy from the Communist Party of China allowed the deadly virus to spread across the world. Journalists should report the facts, but Voice of America has instead amplified Beijing's propaganda. This week, Voice of America called China's Wuhan lockdown a successful model, copied by much of the world, and then tweeted out video of the communist government's celebratory light show marking the quarantine's alleged end. Even worse, while much of the US media takes its lead from China, Voice of America went one step further. It creates graphics with communist government statistics to compare China's coronavirus death toll to America's. As intelligent experts point out, there is simply no way to verify the accuracy of China's numbers. Yeah, unfortunately. But we do know that 20 million China mobile cell phone users have disappeared, don't we? That's been reported in multiple places, right? Where did those 20 million people go? They all switched to another carrier. Oh, wait a minute. There's only one state carrier in China. Yeah, so that's the problem, right? The coronavirus story is just one example of this pattern. Last year, Voice of America helped highlight the Twitter feed of Iran Foreign Minister Javad Zarif while he was issuing threats against the U.S. and sharing Russian anti-U.S. propaganda videos. So Voice of America will represent America. Its guiding charter reads, and for years after its founding during World War II, Voice of America served that mission by promoting freedom and democracy across the world for audiences who longed for both. But today, Voice of America is promoting propaganda instead. And your tax dollars are paying for it. So here we have a message this week from First Lady Melania Trump, and I will play this regarding our frontline responders. So let's make sure this will play. Hold on. Let me re-screen share this so you can hear it really well.
To all of our medical personnel and other frontline responders, on behalf of a grateful nation, thank you. The President and I appreciate all that you're doing to keep the people of our country healthy and safe. In the most difficult of times, the United States never fails to rise to the occasion with both unity and strength. It is because of you that the people of America are receiving the care and treatment they need. We stand united with you, and we salute your courageous and compassionate efforts. Our prayers are with all who are fighting this invisible enemy, COVID-19.
So that was a very lovely message. Hold on.
At this holy time, our nation is engaged in a battle like never before, the invisible enemy. Our brave doctors, nurses, and responders, first responders, responders of all, are fighting to save lives. Our workers are racing to deliver critical medical supplies. Our best scientists are working around the clock to develop life-saving therapeutics, and I think they're doing really well in doing so. Our people are making tremendous sacrifices to end this pandemic. Though we will not be able to gather together with one another as we normally would on Easter, we can use this sacred time to focus on prayer, reflection, and growing in our personal relationship with God, so important. I ask all Americans to pray that God will heal our nation, to bring comfort to those who are grieving, to give strength to the doctors, nurses, and healthcare workers, to restore health to the sick, and to renew the hope in every person who is suffering. Our nation will come through like never before. I thank the many families who have prayed for me and for my family, and your prayers are felt, and I am forever grateful. I'd like to thank our great Vice President and his wonderful wife, who we all know very well, Karen, for the incredible job they do and for their service not only to the country, but for their service to God. Almost 3,000 years ago, the prophet Isaiah wrote these words, "Darkness covers the earth, but the Lord rises upon you, and his glory appears over you, for the Lord will be your everlasting light." As our nation battles the invisible enemy, we reaffirm that Americans believe in the power of prayer. We give thanks for the majesty of creation and for the gift of eternal life.
Okay, I'm going to leave it right there just because I read this out already to everybody. So I'm just going to leave it right there. But let's just finish up with what else we were talking about here. I'm going to screen share this because we're almost done. This is the last of it before we talk about Q for a few minutes. This is a longer POTUS report, but I just want to get this over with. So you can always go to the blog and you can check this out. This is our photos of the day. Photo of the day. This is multiple colored tulips border the rose garden of the White House, which is really beautiful. So really, I don't want to kind of repeat everything that has been reported, but of course, Democrats opt for blackmail over small business money, and the media covers for them. So what a deal for Democrats. They got to hold the economy for ransom, and the media blithely covered for them. The New York Post editorial board writes, on Thursday, Senate Democrats nixed a simple but urgent request to boost cash in the emergency small business loan program Congress set up this month from $350 billion to $600 billion. Everything is an opportunity. House Speaker Nancy Pelosi said, previewing Democrats' plan to use the small business money as leverage for other items on their agenda. So not surprising, that's what they did. This is becoming my favorite genre of journalism. A major news outlet will at first report accurately on a breaking news event, but then amend its own headline later in such a way as to make sure it does not reflect well on the Republicans or reflect poorly on Democrats. Right. So this week, twice they were reporting things inaccurately, as Q pointed out. And that's just what they're red pilling the normies. They're red pilling the sleepwalkers. I mean, I have to say it's quite a task. Here's two more disaster declarations by the president for Alaska and Idaho. Almost every state has filed this. I don't think every state has just yet, but I think they are almost, and also other territories as well, including Northern Mariana Islands and of course Puerto Rico and other territories that I can recall. And here's more appointments to post, key administration posts. We have General Counsel of the Department of the Army, a post there, and you can go and read this on the blog. We also have, I'm not going to read this right now because I want to wrap this up, but this is a readout of the First Lady Melania Trump's call with Mrs. Aki Abe of Japan. So, they're all calling with condolences for those in Japan who lost their lives. And same with Mrs. Laura Mattarella of the Italian Republic. So there's a phone call there expressing the same sentiment. And what we wanted to, on the 8th, we had the president issued a proclamation on National Former Prisoner of War Recognition Day. And you know what? Because we have to pay respect and homage to all of our prisoners of war, all of our military who have been prisoners of war. And I'm going to read this full proclamation. Since our founding, brave men and women who have selflessly answered the call of duty to defend our precious liberty have shaped the fabric of our nation. In the course of fighting for our freedom and security, many of these heroes have been captured and often subjected to shocking conditions and unimaginable torture. On National Former Prisoner of War Recognition Day, we honor the more than 500,000 American warriors captured while protecting our way of life. We pay tribute to these patriots for their unwavering and unrelenting spirit. In every major conflict in our nation's history, American prisoners of war have stared down our enemies, knowing at any moment their captors might torture them yet again or even kill them. These patriots, however, knew that they were fighting for something much larger than individual survival. They preserved they persevered, it's a little late, for the sake of their fellow POWs, comrades in arms, families, and country. Later this year, we will commemorate our 75th anniversary of the conclusion of World War II. Over the course of the war, nearly 94,000 American troops in the European theater and an additional 27,000 in the Pacific theater were captured and held as POWs. Okay, sorry, we were interrupted there. Lost our internet connection mysteriously. How do you like that? Oh my goodness. Okay. I hope everybody's still there. Yes. Chat disconnected. Please wait while we try to reconnect you. Oh my god. I think we are still uh yeah, no. Mm. There we go. Okay, here we go. I hope we're still live. It says that we're still live, so I'm gonna keep going. Okay, I'm gonna you know finish from where I was reading. I'm gonna where I left off here. Oh no, I can see that the live stream. Let's see what's happening here. It says I'm still live streaming, so I'm just gonna keep going. There we go. I'm back. Let's finish this up. Hold on a second. I don't know what happened, folks. My internet just went out. My my internet, isn't that interesting? Or my connection, actually. So let's just finish this up because I really want to read this for our POWs and you know, pay homage to and to our POWs, or all of our military. Okay, I'll start here. Though we can never fully understand the depth of their brutal imprisonment and mistreatment, as Americans, it is our duty to ensure all former POWs receive the love, care, compassion, appreciation, and support they deserve. It is our national obligation to remain mindful of the tremendous sacrifices they, their family members, and their loved ones endured over months and years of uncertainty, worry, and heartache. May the stories of these warriors inspire us to live each day with fierce conviction, indomitable will, and everlasting pride for our country. Now, therefore, I, Donald Trump, President of the United States of America, by virtue of the authority vested in me by the Constitution and the laws of the United States, do hereby proclaim April 9th, 2020 as National Former Prisoner of War Recognition Day. I call upon Americans to observe this day by honoring the service and sacrifice of all former prisoners of war and to express our nation's eternal gratitude for their sacrifice. I also call upon federal, state, and local government officials and organizations to observe this day with appropriate ceremonies and activities. And I'll tell you, if I had a POW flag, I would fly it outside of my house. I really would. I would have to find out where I can get one. Okay, so there it was. That was official, and that was yesterday. And that's it, folks, for this report. I do want to just screen share our latest Q posts because, of course, we can't talk about our POTUS reports without talking about Q, right? So here we have indictment tracking placeholders. And of course, we had someone on Twitter, Beer at the Parade was a Twitter, who had the day before asked Q, apparently they follow him, asked the Q team to acknowledge these things here. And they did in this Q post here. So that was interesting regarding placeholders. Also, they're talking about a multiple DC grand jury subpoenas have been issued on behalf of U.S. Attorney John Durham. Can't wait to see those. Well, it is, Rudy Giuliani, I believe it was, who was saying half of the people involved in this FISA abuse are going to prison. So let's not, fool ourselves. This is what's happening. We're just waiting for that announcement, right? Crossfire Hurricane Team had multiple reports disputing many material claims of the Steele dossier. Yet they still all went along with, this is what happens when you have friends, corrupt friends in places of power, and you conspire to cause harm to people. This is what happens, right? Because evil has been allowed to flourish through all parts of our society, as Q says. The credibility of our institutions, constitutional law that governs our great land, our republic, and our ability to regain the trust and faith of the American people all depend on our ability to restore equal justice under the law. You couldn't have said that any better. By prosecuting those responsible, blind justice, treasonous acts, sedition against the republic of the people. But not only that, there can't be a two-tiered judicial system, right? And what about people who can't afford? What about people who can't afford to litigate? People who have been almost destroyed by the hand of the government just because they were perceived as a threat because they talk publicly like I do, right? And, where's justice for me? Where's justice for other people who have been harmed by the hand of the state and their abuse of power? Where's my justice? Where's your justice? Where's our justice? Not just people in high places. Well, let's see them. Let's see a beginning. Let's see it start somewhere, right? Trump coronavirus campaign ad features Joe Biden cheerleading for China. Oh my God, you can't even make this up, folks. You really can't. And then here is the post that I was referring to in the beginning when I first started talking about Austin Steinbart. And I said, patriots making date predictions are harming the movement and arming the MSM. You guys have to get over, this is not about you. So you need to really stop getting out there and trying to, you're really helping the enemy with your behavior. You need to cut it out. This is already happening. Q is outlining what they can. They're not going to tip off the enemy, and you shouldn't either. So you really need to understand this is a military operation. Don't give it away. I don't know. People have to get this somehow, right? False expectation based on speculation will only weaponize those who attack us, meaning the MSM. Why does the MSM expend resources daily attempting to discredit? Do you provide the playbook to the enemy with specific dates? Logical thinking. FISA indictments equals the start. Exactly. That's when the house will come down. Future proves past, events unlock. and look at all the departures: the DIA, the White House, the DOJ, the FBI, the CEO departures, the resignations. There's thousands of them, folks, thousands of them. And many of them were on that amorphous archive, by the way. He had a list, an A list of resignations, and there were links to each one of these resignations that had, of course, I didn't report this. I haven't reported this before. Actually, I did report it once. This amorphous archive that that Austin Steinbart is talking about had a list of at least about 3,000 CEOs, not just CEOs, resignations globally of heads of chiefs of police, heads of universities, um, uh, CEOs of corporations, you name it, from banks to judges to all walks of life. And that was, I don't even, that hasn't even been updated. And back then that was like 3,000. And there's probably more like five, maybe more like 10,000 resignations. So not everybody, gets arrested and gets a trial for treason. Not everybody goes to Gitmo. So, but there's a lot of that. There's a huge amount of resignations. So let's not forget about that. So that's it for tonight, folks. I'm just going to check in with people. I'm not going to go over all the Q posts because it's self-explanatory. I just want to say to everybody, thank you so much for joining me. I'm so glad that you all joined me, and as I can talk about things, I will talk about them. I really wasn't planning on talking about Austin till the end, but I did talk about Austin in the beginning of this report. So if you are catching just the end of it, you can listen to the beginning of this report, where I do go into some discussion about Austin Steinbart. He was arrested by the FBI. It doesn't mean he's guilty of anything. Just know that. Roger Stone had also this, SWAT team, tactical military, you know, uh, I would say ambush, on his home in a suburban neighborhood where he was sleeping. Like that was necessary. It's just intimidation. Um, but make no mistake, Austin was having an impact, and it wasn't for the deep state. So, folks, with all of that, I want to thank you so much for joining me. I'll be back tomorrow night with Duncan O'Finian. He is a super soldier, and he is going to be talking about, he is also a wizard and paranormal specialist, and he's going to be talking about this war, the spiritual battle between dark and light. If anybody knows this, it's Duncan. So stay tuned tomorrow at 8 p.m. I have been circulating the announcement, but I've been banned on Facebook again, not surprisingly, and I have no idea why. They harass me. That's what they do. I just log in one day, and then the next thing you know, uh, they tell me that I need to validate the country I live in, or I need to validate my account. Well, then I need to upload a picture, and then I need to do this, and then for 24 hours I can't use the computer. I can't use the account. Then they tell me, what else do they say? Then they say, put your code in, right? I put the code in, and no, code doesn't work. It's like, it's the code that you sent me. I put it in to validate my phone, and now you're telling me, it's just harassment. It's absolute harassment. It's all the time this happens now. So it's such a scam. Facebook is such BS. I can't believe, I'm so sorry that we're all really stuck using it sometimes. But I can't wait for something better to come along. And I know something will. So everybody, yes. Yeah, Slim Frank, you're right. I think Austin was bait. I think it was used as bait. I think it was a trap for the deep state. And he got that amorphous archive entered into, he's going to get that entered into evidence. And who knows what else they took from him. They took what? He said 6 servers and 30 computers. Going to have that entered in as evidence? Should be interesting. Just keep him in your prayers. It's all you can do. Keep Austin and his family in your prayers, because whatever he's going through, it is not something that he willingly really wanted to deal with. But, for whatever reason, he's going through it. I don't like the fact that he was forced into doing this, but I guess in time we'll know more. We'll know more why all of this had to happen this way. So everybody have a great night. Happy Easter, happy Passover to everybody. I hope you have a safe holiday, and stay inside and do some inner work, inner engineering. So God bless everybody. I know Facebook is CIA. God bless everybody, and thank you so much. Remember to reach out to people who you know are alone and try to help them through this difficult time. I want to thank everybody for viewing, and this concludes this edition of the GoldFish Report. Thanks to all of our viewers and all of our friends in the live chat. Thank you so much for being in the live chat. This is great to have you with me live. So it was wonderful. Thank you.